I'm Eric Stark, and I'm joined by Keith Schwagert, who has a blog, and he's constantly writing about high school sports. Right now, football season's hot and heavy. It was a lot hot and heavier last weekend for you, keeping you busy. We had 7 teams involved in the districts. Now we're down to 2. Are you surprised, maybe not at all, but how surprised are you, if at all, that we have only 2 teams left?
Yeah, it was kind of carnage last week for the Lancaster-Lebanon League. As you mentioned, we had a lot of Quad A teams alive, and none of them survived, with the exception of Wilson, who, they're an LL League team, but they're a Berks County team. So,
sure.
Yeah, Penn Manor got knocked out. Manheim Township got knocked out. Of those 2, Penn Manor kind of surprised me. I really sort of had them pegged as a team that really could go to the district championship and possibly win it. I thought the bracket set up pretty well for them. If they would have won last week, they got beat by Governor Mifflin 35-21. If they win that game, they're looking at a rematch with Wilson, who they finished behind in Section 1 this year. But, in that regular season meeting, they lost it 14-7. I really thought they dominated that game in terms of the stats. It really turned on, a couple big plays here and there. Penn Manor also had 5 turnovers. I really thought, you turn over the ball 5 times, you should lose worse than 14-7. I really thought that game was theirs for the taking. I really liked their chances in a rematch, and right. It kind of stuns me that they got knocked out. They fell behind early. They were down 21-7. They came back and tied it, and then Mifflin pulled away. So, yeah, that one raised my eyebrows quite a bit. The other one in AAA is Manheim Central getting knocked out. They lost to Susquehanna Township. I believe it was 27-17. And you're just used to seeing Manheim Central go a little bit further in districts. And this is the second year in a row. Last year they got knocked out in the first round. This year, kind of a younger team, and maybe next year's their year. But yeah, I was surprised to see them get knocked out, just kind of based entirely on their reputation here in the district playoffs.
Yeah, it seems like ever since I was going to say 90s, but no, even back to like 89, Chad Ginder even there. That this is a team, the Central, you always saw in the finals, and if they lost in the finals, at least they were at Hershey Park. So 2 years in a row to see them get knocked out this early is a bit surprising. You mentioned Governor Mifflin with Penn Manor. Do you think Penn Manor was looking ahead to that Wilson matchup because they thought, hey, we get by these guys, we have a great shot next week? Do you think there could have been a little bit of that? I
mean, there's a possibility. You never know with 17-year-old kids how they're going to be. However,
I'm 40 and I do it.
Well, sure, and but Todd Mealy, the coach of Penn Manor, is. I think he's one of the most intelligent coaches in the league, and certainly one of the best, when it comes to the on-the-field stuff. But he's also really good at managing that team. It would surprise me to find out that, if that's what happened, that they got caught looking ahead. I think they ran into a good team. I mean, Governor Mifflin, they lost to Wilson in the regular season opener. They lost to Catholic the next week, and they haven't lost since.
Right.
And they've steamrolled some pretty good teams, in the meantime to get here. So, they're no slouches. And, in all honesty, I like their chances against Wilson this week. That's who they're playing in the semifinals. I think Wilson obviously can beat him. They beat him pretty handily in the first week of the season. But they match up pretty well with them. So I think that's going to be a very good game. It'll be very interesting to see how that one turns out. But Mifflin's a good team.
And I'm sure you're going to have updates in your blog, even though you're not going to be there.
Absolutely,
you'll have updates going. I do have to mention Manheim Township. They lost 38-30 to the reigning state champions in Central Dauphin, correct here?
Right.
I think it bodes well for the future of these teams that lost, that again, Mark Evans has got that program on the right steps as well here. I think for the future, to go there and only lose by 8 is a good thing.
And they were down 31-7 in that game, and it really just looked like they were getting blown off the field. They were getting blown off the field, but to their credit, they stayed with it. They have a real good quarterback in Brennan Scott, obviously, who's concluding his brilliant high school career now. He's number 4, I believe, on the all-time LL League passing list.
That's impressive.
Well over 6,000 yards. He's only one of 4 quarterbacks to do that here in the league. And they got it to down to within 8 points. They tried an onside kick. They didn't get it. But, they had Central Dauphin sweating a little bit at the end there after it appeared that, they were golden. The Township fought back, and they deserved a lot of credit for that.
I think it bodes well for the LL in the future of how we're doing here in districts.
Oh, absolutely. And the LL League, with the exception of maybe Manheim Central and Lancaster Catholic, I don't think the LL League gets a whole lot of respect, certainly statewide. And in the last couple of years, Section 1's been down a little bit, so maybe some of that is warranted. But this year, certainly, in spite of what happened last week, I think that the Section 1 really did a good job of representing itself in the playoffs this year. And yes, it does bode well for the future because some of these teams will be bringing back some pretty talented underclassmen from these games who can use this to sort of learn from and move on.
Very good.